Welcome to A Cast for Crows, the Game of Thrones inspired podcast here on deadscreen.net. My name is Drew.
I'm Alexa.
And I'm Joe.
And we are here to talk about episode 7 titled The Gift. Joe, can you explain to me why it's titled The Gift? Because I watched this, I was actually 2 days late, so I watched it on Tuesday instead of Sunday. And I couldn't figure it out. I didn't realize what it was called, and I was trying to figure it out sitting here before we started.
See, it's a great topic to start with because it actually fooled book readers, because the gift, in the show, the gift meant Jorah's gift to Daenerys, which ended up being Tyrion, and he even, he announced himself when he came out into the fighting pit. He said, I'm the gift, my name is Tyrion Lannister. But it fooled book readers because the gift is something entirely different, and it's basically a piece of land that Jon Snow gives to the wildlings. And so when I saw that this episode was titled The Gift, I thought most of it would center around Jon and the wildlings again, but it really didn't. And yeah, I think there were two instances where a gift was mentioned. One was Tyrion, and the other one was Littlefinger to Olenna Tyrell, and basically his gift was information, which we'll talk about more later on in this podcast.
Yeah, I guess I should have put the fact that it was Tyrion. Like, that makes sense. That wasn't as easy of a connection as me. Also, I'm dumb, so that helps. So, do you want to get in, Joe, and start talking about how this episode kicked off? Sort of kicked off right where it kind of ended, in a way, last week.
Yeah, we know a little bit of time has passed now with Sansa and Ramsay being married, and things have gotten no better for Sansa because we saw that she was covered in bruises and has been physically abused, probably repeatedly now, and that whole scene kind of centered around her going to Theon/Reek for help, and I, for one, was convinced that he was going to try and help her, but it wasn't long before we realized that he had gone to Ramsay to tell him that Sansa was trying to escape, and then, of course, later on, Ramsay reveals that the old lady who had been a friend of Sansa's has now been flayed and killed, and I just want to say, I think that old lady had no purpose whatsoever except to re-emphasize that Brienne still has a purpose in Winterfell.
Okay.
Even though we don't see her, it shows us that Sansa has one less friend there, and yeah, Brienne and Podrick are basically needed more than ever now.
Yeah, because we haven't seen a lot of Brienne for a while, but because I remember you talking a couple episodes ago about how that was really important what that lady said. And so I sort of expected something kind of big to come from that, and it seemed like now she's kind of gone. What did we get out of her that we kind of didn't know before, aside from the fact that there's still people looking out for her? But, is that what you expect? Is that, different from the books? Does that make sense? Because it seemed like you put some weight behind her and what she said, and now she's sort of gone. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, I hear you there. It's tough to say. There was, I have no idea who the old lady was exactly, but in the books, there's the North, and Winterfell in particular, is really separated into two factions. Basically, who's behind the Boltons and who is plotting against them. But it's far less clear-cut, and the Boltons have more supporters than they appear to in the show. And that's why when she said the North remembers, I was expecting to see a little more, I don't know, I guess a little more support for Sansa, not just this one random old lady.
Yeah, or a little more clear
yeah,
issues
absolutely.
With the Boltons and all that stuff. Okay, I got you. I just didn't know. I didn't know if that changed from the book, or if I was surprised that happened, and I'm with you. I was very surprised to see that Theon/Reek went back to Ramsay and didn't go put the thing in the window. I normally I'm the opposite way, where I'm always expecting somebody to do the worst thing, and I like let my guard down for a minute. And so when sort of revealed that that's what he did, I was pretty shocked. More shocked than I should have been, because I should have expected that, but I didn't. I like let my guard down for a little bit, and that's what happened. And I was like, well, Sansa's kind of screwed right now, and I'm kind of sad that, at least for the moment, he's stuck as Reek, and he's not sort of pulling back into Theon as he was. Because, I mean, there's definitely something going on. We saw it at the end of the last episode when he was sort of sitting there, you know, as the camera zoomed in on him. There was definitely something happening to him. Like, he wasn't completely removed from his Theon self. But, I wish he was more Theon and less Reek. It'd be fun to see him sort of return to that.
See, I think it was important that they showed that, because at the end of the last episode, you were like basically convinced that Theon was like back.
Yeah.
At least to a certain extent. But with this, it just kind of reconfirms that he's still very much Reek, and that it's going to take a lot more than what just happened to bring him back to Theon. So I think it was good to see. I'm kind of disappointed, because I really was hoping that Theon was like back as well.
Yeah.
But I guess it'll just take some more time, I guess. I don't know. I hope he comes back.
Yeah.
But you have to question, though, if seeing Sansa get raped didn't truly trigger something, what is going to trigger something?
Yeah, I don't know. I honestly thought that was going to be what set him off.
Yeah, and I'm with you. And like, that scene was really well done, and I think that's part of the reason why I kind of let my guard down at the beginning of this episode. Is I was so convinced that that's how it was going to go, and I was just like, I made the decision in my mind that that's what happened already, and I didn't wait to see what was actually going on. So.
See, the thing about it that I do notice is, I mean, there definitely is a change happening, because you can very clearly see the internal struggle between Theon and Reek, just with his character. But I guess it's going to take a lot more, and I don't know what is going to be worse than what he already saw.
Yeah.
But he's, to a certain extent, that you do see the internal struggle, so we'll see.
So, sort of switching subjects, did we know that Maester Aemon was sick or dying? And did I just completely miss that whole thing?
I mean, he's really old.
Yeah, I knew he was really old, and I knew that was sort of like something about him, as he was old and he was blind, right? He totally blind.
Yeah.
Yes.
Blind. Mm-hmm. And so like he always looked really weak, and I think, I don't know, I just, when it cut to him, I was like, whoa, he doesn't look like he's doing too well. And they were like, oh, he's not doing too well. And I was like, oh, did I miss this, or I don't know. It just sort of it surprised me, and again, I could have just completely missed something, but.
Yeah, I think it was just due to the fact that he's, getting very old, and they showed that the Alzheimer's, I assume it was Alzheimer's, had apparently come on very quickly, and he was thinking that his brother King Aegon was still alive, and that would have been King Aegon would have been Daenerys's great grandfather, I believe. So that's a long, long way to stretch back, and it tells you just how old Maester Aemon was. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I have to say it did seem to kind of come out of nowhere in the show, because in the books he was clearly going downhill for a while, and like it wasn't a surprise when it finally happened. So yeah, it did kind of seem out of the blue. So I don't really think you missed anything. It was just kind of all of a sudden there,
Yeah, I feel like I felt like that a lot during the sort of the wall scenes going on at Castle Black and stuff, where it's like there's these things of big importance and stuff that, so it's pretty significant, that it's just kind of like getting thrown in front of us, and I always feel like I missed something, or I'm not entirely informed. And from your end, it seems like a lot of the stuff sort of falls short of what its impact in the book.
Yeah, I think it's just, I think we've had that theme throughout this season a lot,
Yeah.
with things kind of seeming to come out of the blue, and it's almost like the Dorne stuff came out of almost nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I don't know. As far as Aemon's death in the books, I don't want to say too much because there's still some stuff that could happen. But I will tell you that Maester Aemon had actually left the Wall with a few other characters, and Jon Snow had sent him away to Old Town, where most of the Maesters are, and someone else was going to train to become a Maester after Aemon's death.
Okay.
But what Aemon didn't tell Jon was that he had his own plans after Old Town, and that is that he was going to go see Daenerys and Meereen, and basically just, offer her counsel and, remind her that she still does have one family member left at least. But of course, he died, and he died long before he reached Meereen, so he never got there. But I felt like that was much better done in the books, just because there was a build up to it. Like, you knew it was coming, but he still had some significant lines, and he taught a few characters some final things before he went. But yeah, I mean, it was still very sad in the show, but I guess it just served to re-emphasize that Jon and Sam lost another friend up at the Wall, as Sir Alistair was kind enough to remind him.
Yeah. And like in the books, is Maester Aemon suffering from something similar to Alzheimer's, or is that just kind of an assumption based on his like last scene? Because to me, it just kind of seemed like someone was dying and they were just kind of delusional.
It was the exact same way in the books. He referenced Aegon repeatedly, and one line that was very significant in the show was, he said, "Egg, I dreamed I was old," and yeah, that one was taken straight from the books. But yeah, he did suffer quite a bit from Alzheimer's or whatever it was before his death.
Does the Night Watch have to have a Maester? Is it like...
The general feeling is yes, there should always be a Maester. But another point is that it needs to be someone who can not just give counsel, but also read and write.
Like our homeboy Sam?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, seems kind of obvious, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Maester Tarly, perhaps?
Yeah. So Sam had a pretty eventful episode. He
did.
Got wrecked trying to protect Gilly, and then he and Gilly, as you put it, started getting busy. So he had a pretty big episode. Was that that was the first time that they sort of been together like that? I don't even remember. I remember it was always kind of there, but nothing else happened before. Did it?
I think that's correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they did anything.
I'm still shocked that now, I know there are rules and stuff, but that somebody has not been like, okay, Sam, just take her out of here, go somewhere else with her, and go get safe, because they keep talking about how it's not safe for her there. So.
Yeah, but it's kind of punishable by death.
Yeah.
If you abandon the Wall, so.
Yeah, and that's why I didn't know once Jon was Lord Commander if he was like able to do that. Be like, I'm commanding you to take her somewhere safe and at least get her set up and safe, and then possibly come back. But I don't know. I want that to happen because it's stressful.
That's what he did in the book. That's what he did in the book. He basically had her step away, and yeah, I don't know. I felt like that whole scene was kind of unnecessary, though. Like, what's the real purpose of showing Sam get his face bashed in repeatedly? And, like, I mean, we know the Night's Watch folks can be very violent. Not all of them are good. But we already saw this through Lord Commander Mormont, the whole mutiny back when that happened. But I don't really know what the point of this scene was, especially because we we just had a rape scene last week, and now this time we had an attempted sexual assault scene, and it I don't know, maybe it's just me. It struck me as overkill a little bit, but what did you guys think?
I seriously was watching the episode and I was like, are we gonna have another rape scene? Like, this is so unnecessary. That's like how I saw it. Like, I was like, this is, why are we, like, now it's just like rape for rape's sake. Like.
Yeah. You know, I kind of felt that way, but at the same time, I felt like nothing was like I felt Sam was gonna step in and stop it because there was no way that they were gonna put 2 rape scenes kind of back to back, so close.
Yeah.
Being pretty significant from the book, as far as I can tell. So, you know, I think it was a lot to sort of just continue to show Sam's character, and you know, he's not a fighter, but he protects kind of in whichever way he can. I don't know. I don't know. I'm with you. It seemed a little odd to me. Like, I didn't learn anything more than that, or because, you know, it was like, okay, now they very clearly like each other, even though we kind of knew that from the very beginning. So it's just like hitting the people who still didn't get it yet over the head.
Yeah, I mean, it's no surprise.
Yeah, I suppose its only real purpose was to.
I mean, it's like, we'll do anything for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess its only real purpose was kind of to give us that debut, well, suggest a sex scene between Sam and Gilly, and it does happen in the books, so I guess they kind of needed to show their
at least touch on it or something.
Yeah, just show the relationship developing further. I guess I can understand that, but it just, I don't know, the whole thing with, you know, their Night's Watch brothers trying to randomly sexually assault her just kind of felt like overkill to me. I don't know.
Yeah. I thought they said something about that at some point. Somebody said that it's not the best place for them to be. I mean, that's one of the reasons that Stannis took everybody with him, right? Because they're not the best kind of people, so it's not the best place for us.
That's a great point.
Yeah. So, referring to Stannis, this is probably going to make me look really dumb, but they were talking, him and Melisandre were talking about needing King's blood.
Mm-hmm.
And then he said something about, what about leech? Okay, so explain what was going on with that scene, and then I'll ask my dumb questions.
Do you remember, like, go ahead. Yeah, more.
Basically, Melisandre suggested that Stannis needs King's blood to either ensure that he wins the war or just ensure Roose Bolton's death, kind of like we saw with Robb Stark, Balon Greyjoy, and, of course, Renly. And Melisandre suggests that Shireen should be the one that they use. And, you know, obviously Stannis wasn't going to have any of that. Mm-hmm. But I made 2 observations from that scene. One, had they waited just a little bit longer, they could have just waited until Aemon Targaryen died and taken just a little bit of his blood if they really needed it, because he has actual king's blood, being a Targaryen. And I also wonder, you know, this is probably a crackpot theory, but I just wonder if they will use some king's blood and sacrifice Queen Selyse. And the reason I'm thinking that is because Selyse basically she doesn't seem to have much of a purpose aside from being Stannis' queen and his wife. And she's even stated that she feels like she has no purpose in his life now that she can't have any more children. And also the fact that she gave birth to a daughter with grayscale. She basically has no self-worth at all, but she is very religious, so I suspect that if Melisandre were to bring it up to her, that she wouldn't hesitate to go for it. And of course Stannis would, you know, they would fight about it and it would probably be very emotional. But I just wonder if Selyse would insist on sacrificing herself, because she does love Stannis. She wants to see her daughter, you know, survive this war. She wants to see Stannis become king. So, you know, just my theory, but what do you guys think of that?
But does she technically have king's blood because she's not related to him, and as far as I know, she's not a Targaryen.
So is it, if you marry in, that counts?
We have no idea how exactly it counts, to be honest. It at times it seems like a load of BS from Melisandre, but I would guess that if you married in, I mean that's a very good question, and I honestly have no idea. But you don't have like
blood running through your veins, so.
But you could say the same about Mance Rayder, who just kind of randomly called himself King Beyond the Wall too, and to our knowledge, he didn't have any ancestors who were royalty.
I don't know. That's just like logically speaking for me. I wouldn't imagine that would count as king's blood, but I don't know how Game of Thrones does things. So.
And so my dumb question was, they really need all that much blood? Like, why? Just use a little. Can you just use a little? Just give a little bit of extra?
Gendry, I mean, didn't they only use a little bit of blood with Gendry?
I thought.
Like, he's not dead.
I don't know. That's why, that was my dumb question was, why do they need all that much? Can't they just use a little?
That's a great question, actually, and
that's how I remember everything going. I thought I remembered them not using a whole bunch. So when she was like, "Oh yeah, your daughter has some king's blood," I thought he'd be like, "Oh, okay, let's just use some of that." End of scene. That's all good. We'll just take a little. That's fine. And he was like freaking out, and I was like, I guess they need more, or I don't know.
I mean, didn't like Melisandre imply that she needed to sacrifice Shireen?
Yeah, and that's why I was a little confused, because I thought I remember them using not a ton. And didn't they use a leech at one point or something? Or was that showing that it didn't work?
No, because it did work, because Robb Stark was dead, Renly was dead.
So, I don't know, I'm just a little lost there, because it seemed like they had established those rules, that you just need some of it. And then she was like, oh, we need blood, and I assumed just some of it, and it was like she was implying that they needed to sacrifice her, and I was just a little lost.
But like at the same time, like didn't Davos Seaworth help Gendry escape because they were gonna kill him?
Yeah, and that's a point I was gonna make too. Is that I remember Davos didn't like the idea at all in the first place, and even Stannis himself needed convincing. Like he didn't want to do it either. Because Gendry is Stannis' blood because he's Robert's bastard child, and yeah, I don't know if Davos didn't know that they only take a little bit of blood, or maybe they intended to fully sacrifice his life. I'm guessing it's the latter. They intended to sacrifice his whole life.
But it still worked.
Yeah, I don't know. This is one answer I don't have as a book reader, so your guess is as good as mine.
So I was a little confused there. I was just a little lost. I mean, it makes sense if you're sacrificing that's like the way you're supposed to do it, and maybe it's that ensures it or guarantees it, and I don't know, using some crazy stuff like that. But I think what you're saying about Queensley is right. I mean, she seems kind of radical, and like she would go for that if her blood counted, but I guess we'll see.
She's so annoying. I don't care if they kill her.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same. Every time she comes on screen, she's sort of whining about something. I'm like, just do something or not be here. So we had a very interesting scene with Bronn and the Sand Snakes. I don't know how we want to attack this because I didn't fully comprehend what was going on till the end. Because I'm a little slow. So just, do you want to give us a rundown of sort of what happened, just so
yes,
I can tell you why I'm dumb?
Yeah, Bronn was kind of going on about his adventures and how he was singing about The Dornishman's Wife, a classic song in Westeros. And yeah, it was revealed that Nym had poisoned Bronn with the end of her sword or dagger or whatever she had. And of course, as soon as she started stripping, fittingly enough, was when the poison really started to take effect. And I told you last week I thought Bronn was the expendable piece and that there's a good chance he would die.
Oh yeah,
And
I was convinced he was gone.
I was too. I thought that was it. And
well, there goes Bronn. I lost another one.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why I was shocked when she decided to give him the antidote. And frankly, I'm not entirely sure why she gave it to him, because she just made him say, "Oh, you're the most beautiful woman in the world," and well, yeah, of course he's gonna say that. His life is at stake. Do you really believe him, though? I mean, come on. But that scene struck me as strange because. Yeah, that scene struck me as strange just because, one, she saved his life, and then two, she has this poison, and yet the antidote came all the way from a shy, and yet she just so happens to have the antidote for the one poison that she gave to Bronn.
Yeah.
Like, that felt so random.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't figure out why she saved him to begin with. Like, I'm glad she did because I love Bronn, but I don't know why.
I can't really place the whole purpose behind that scene unless there's either she's trying to prove that, hey, you didn't like beat me as much as you think I did. Like, I'm more skilled than you think I am, and to try and show some of that power, or if maybe part of her does like him, kind of. I mean, I don't know. I'm with you. I don't really know where that scene was going. I got really confused because as she was stripping, they kept doing this like little pan down to her crotch, but it never quite got there. And then Bronn started sort of having this little freak out, and I couldn't figure out why that was happening. Obviously, I figured it out kind of at the end when it all came together, but there was a while where I was like, is there like some Medusa thing going on, or does she have like magic powers down there or something? Yeah, like I got really confused for a while because I didn't piece the two till it had all sort of gone through. I think it was because I was expecting to lose Bronn, but I don't know. I'm not sure what the entire point of that scene is, if not just to show that they're kind of, she's more skilled than he makes them out to be.
That would
Maybe
be
it's just because the last episode made them seem so lame.
That's true.
True.
Maybe that could be it. Maybe it was more for us to let them know that they're not.
They heard Andy saying that they let him down, and so they added that scene in at the last minute.
Yeah. Huh. No, but I'm with you. Bronn was gone. I accepted it, and I was.
Yeah.
I feel like I've mentally prepared at this point, so when we lose Bronn, and I still think we will, it won't be as rough for me because I've kind of made my peace with it. He's great, and I love that character, but he's not going to last very long. I think you're right. I don't think he makes it out of the door. So we got to see a little bit of Daenerys with I don't remember the dude, grumpy guy. It's just what I'm going to call him.
Sir Jorah Mormont.
No. I know Jorah. No, the guy she's supposed to marry. Grumpy guy.
Oh, Hisdar.
Yes, grumpy guy. That's what I said. So
same thing.
I liked that. I thought when they were sitting down trying to watch the fights and stuff, I thought it was really funny. It felt like the guy who's trying to get his girlfriend to watch sports and she doesn't want to watch sports. He's like, no, but this is right. This is good. She's like, I don't want to watch this. I don't care. He's like, no, it's good. Oh, I don't know. I just thought that was funny. I like seeing Jorah be such a badass. I feel like we haven't seen that for a while, so I thought that was good. And then I had no idea what was going to happen when he sort of revealed himself. Because, you know, he wasn't going around killing everybody. So once he realized that she was there, he went out and fought everybody and incapacitated them. You know, he went out of his way not to kill them. Because I think he saw that she was uncomfortable when they were being killed.
Yeah.
So he incapacitated all of them, and then he took his, you know, helmet off to sort of reveal who he was. And she was not happy to see him at all.
I wasn't expecting her to be like, okay, I forgive you.
No,
like,
I wasn't either.
I figured it was going to be like that.
But I was expecting more of a shock sort of thing, and less of like, whoa, buddy, you gotta get out of here. Like, I don't know. I was surprised at sort of the response. And I still am not entirely I'm not entirely sure why Tyrion is the gift. I know it's something you guys want to talk about, but I'm not super clear on that and sort of what he provides.
Yeah, I'll take that one for a minute. You can. Let me just say that a piece of my soul died the moment Tyrion walked out, and because that hasn't happened in the books, Tyrion didn't reach Daenerys yet, so it was one of my oh fuck moments, and I have a feeling these are gonna crop up in the next few episodes again. But as far as why Tyrion is the gift, one, it's because technically he was Varys' gift, and Illyrio's for that matter.
Yeah.
So he was originally a gift. But what he provides, one, is he's extremely smart. He can sit on her council, give her great advice, very similar to Jorah. But he also has, you know, he knows King's Landing inside and out. He knows Cersei and her council, all that. And he's also been involved in war. And so he can advise her on many, many different points. And if she chooses to keep him around, which there's no guarantee of that, he is a Lannister, he will provide a lot of invaluable counsel to her. So, yeah, in a way, she won't see it immediately, of course, but he is very much a gift if she's smart and decides to keep him and Jorah around.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, basically.
What do we think's gonna happen? I have no idea. I was surprised at sort of her reaction to some extent, so I'm just not really sure what's gonna go on there.
The way I saw it is now that Tyrion is there, it kind of like reaffirms her main goal. It wasn't for her to stay in Meereen, like it was for her to go to King's Landing. And I think that just kind of like brought it back in a way where it was kind of like now she has intel on the Lannisters, like she has more power over them with Tyrion. True. So I think it just kind of puts her back in the game.
So did her and Grumpy Guy get married yet, or is that just still the plan?
See, I'm not clear on that, and we kind of need to know this because it's obviously, you know, marriage laws. It's very, very important. But yeah, I was wondering that too. I was thinking there may have been something I had missed.
Yeah, I don't know if it was an off-screen thing or they're still waiting on it happening. I wasn't entirely sure.
See, I almost feel like they're going to try and cut it out. Go ahead.
I don't know. I didn't think they were married. But who knows? I figured they would at least show us a glimpse of the wedding, because they're not shy about that in Game of Thrones. So I don't know why they wouldn't show us anything and just kind of be like, well, by the way, they're married. So I don't know.
See, I feel like they're not married either, and they're not going to get. I wonder if they're not going to get married at all.
Yeah, that's what I was asking.
The show will just make it kind
of.
Yeah, I feel like the show's going to make it kind of cop out of it, and it'll just make things easier for Daenerys when she's ready to leave. She won't be tied. She won't be tied down.
It doesn't make sense for her to marry him because her goal isn't to stay in Meereen. go back to Westeros and take over.
And that's why I was asking, was because that's what makes sense to me. And if Tyrion is both, sort of the intellectual gift and then the fact that a reminder of, you have a greater goal in mind, maybe she's just like, well, I'm going to put somebody in charge here and I'm going to go move on with what I'm doing. So that was like the vibe I got from all that. But
no,
that's why I was asking. I wasn't sure. So I wouldn't be surprised if she was like, oh yeah, I have this other stuff I was planning on doing. And she's just like, ups and leaves and starts moving forward in whatever way she can. So I thought the end of this episode was one of the best. So, Joe, I'll let you explain it again because I don't want to get some of the stuff wrong, but I think we have a lot to talk about sort of for this.
I just remember Cersei very kindly went in to check on Marjorie and see how she was doing, and as we saw, Marjorie is really not doing well in her currently being locked up, and but we went over to Cersei went to see the High Sparrow, and basically, ensure that Marjorie gets a fair trial and all that. Put quotes around all that because obviously that's not what she wants. But then the High Sparrow kind of hinted at Cersei being implicated for a few things, and then all of a sudden Cersei tries to leave and she gets stopped by some more of the sparrows, and then of course Lancel comes out and reveals that he has told the High Sparrow at least some of Cersei's crimes, which we do need to discuss because Lancel does know a lot. And yeah, basically Cersei, the queen bitch, has been arrested at last. So we'll see. What do you guys think?
With Lancel once?
Yes, she did. And if you'll go back to season 1, Lancel was the one who poisoned King Robert's wine.
Yeah, I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I was trying to remember if they were like together at all.
They just.
I think he was just being sexually manipulated. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, basically Cersei has a lot to answer for, and I suspect more of what all she's done will come out in the next episode. But it's interesting because, again, Lancel, it goes back to our theme of things coming out of nowhere. Lancel disappears for like 3 seasons, and now he comes back, and you knew he was going to play some kind of significant role, otherwise they wouldn't have brought him back. But what do you guys think Cersei's fate is now?
I, as always, have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was great to see it, though, see it play out, just because she's being so smug about Marjorie being just, you're, not any better right now. And, it was great for the High Sparrow to kind of be like, look, you don't get any special treatment. So I thought that was interesting. But I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, in regards to that, I have no idea what's going to go on. I think, throughout this whole season, Marjorie was sort of like, oh, you're behind this whole thing. She's like, no, they're just doing their own thing. We can only do so much, or, I'll ask them to stop, sort of thing. Sort of it seems like she thought she was in control, but I never fully believed that she was, kind of in control of them, if that makes sense. It's she believed.
Yeah.
And everybody else thought it, but...
What I would find interesting is if this was technically, the prophecy that someone, younger, more beautiful would be her undoing is entirely her fault because she arrested Marjorie.
Mm-hmm.
And then, because of that was her undoing.
Yeah.
That would be an interesting, because, she's been trying so hard to stop this prophecy, and if it was, entirely her fault, that would be really interesting.
Yeah. That would fit in pretty well with how things sort of go in this universe. I think whoever plays the High Sparrow has this perfect, like, calm, sort of logical demeanor, but if you look at him long enough, you're like, holy shit, this guy looks crazy. Like, there's a scene right after where it kind of, like, zoomed in on him, and I was like, oh shit, stuff's going down right now.
Yeah, I mean, he's like a leader of a radical cult, so...
Yeah. I don't know. I want... The next episode could be all about that whole thing, and I'd be totally fine with it. So...
Yeah. It just proves that Cersei was a fool to give them power in the first place, and it kind of shows that she's basically done so much wrong this season that we've finally seen, like, kind of how poor of a ruler she is without someone like Tywin behind her. Because Tywin would never have put I don't think Tywin ever would have given the Sparrows any sort of power.
He wouldn't have insulted the Tyrells so much.
He would have seen they were dangerous. Yeah. But yeah, we're seeing just Cersei's not just her power waning so much, but just her, like, she's free to rule on her own now, and she just isn't doing much right.
Yeah. Well, there's I don't know what's going on there. So this was episode 7. So we have 8, 9, 10, 3 left, but either this next one or 9 is going to be like the traditional big Game of Thrones one. So I didn't get a next time on sort of, where they sort of give you a preview of next week. Did either of you get that? Do we know?
I watched it, but I don't remember anything on it.
Because I know this season there's one, like, episode that's all about pretty much one battle, right?
Yes.
It's definitely going to be the battle in Winterfell.
Yeah. And so, do we think that's next week, or do we think that's week 9?
I can tell you week 9, the episode is called Dance of the Dragons, so that's probably more... That's probably more Meereen focused, but oh, it's a tough call. I don't remember what episode 8 is called. So I for one I'm just praying at this point that we don't see much more action, because especially now that Tyrion
I feel like if they
finally
had the
met
battle
Daenerys,
right now, it would be...
So you're
I feel
just
like the battle would be, like, too rushed.
Yeah, I agree. That way too rushed. Can we just cancel the rest of the season now and postpone it till season 6? That'd be fine.
Yeah, you just want to get through the rest of the season without any other big spoilers.
And it's not gonna happen. That's the problem.
No, it's definitely going to happen. Let's see. What's the name of the episode? It is called Hard Home.
Hard Home.
Okay, I can
One word.
I can tell you guys that is a place north of the Wall, so I assume it's going to focus on Jon and the Wildlings' trip up to Hardhome to get the rest of the Wildlings.
So, do you know, is that farther along, or is that something you've read already?
Well, that's a great question, because it's oh, never mind. I can't answer that. Just in case it's a spoiler. I will tell you that in the book, Jon intended to go to Hardhome, but certain other things happened that he stayed at the Wall instead. So it'll be interesting for me to see if that actually does happen. I presume, because they named the episode after it, that the journey will happen. But yeah, in the book he did not go to Hardhome because of other events.
Huh. Well, I guess we'll see. We will be back next week to talk about episode 8. And yeah. hopefully we get some more Arya.
Guys.
Yeah, more Arya, please.